this call here has helped me a lot, and continue to help other associates as well. And I host an accountability call on Thursday nights, a mastermind call for CDLP associates that are working in the space. Those individuals are doing some phenomenal things, opening groups, writing more memberships, making more dials. A lot of those people actually participated in the Tuesday Blitz. So that's a clue for you to plug into that as well. And so just like helping the associates and working with them and learning as well as we continue to build our business here with LegalShield. So with that, I pass it over to you, Randy.
Well, thank you, Sherranda. And it's an honor to be on the call, and I appreciate the ability to, or the opportunity to help each and every one of the people out there wanting to learn how to market in the space. I've been in with LegalShield for about 13 years. Since 2019, CDL has been our major. We earned the $50,000 ring. We've also had a 1,000 app award, closing in on 2,000 now, and I hope to do that before the end of the year, if not before. We're also working with some field trainees and working with them. Hopefully we'll get them to where they understand how to do this business. One of the nice parts about LegalShield on the commercial driver side is all we have to do basically, guys, is educate the driver and they will buy our product. They know they need it or they need something. They just need to know which one they want out of all of them to be the best for them. And if we educate them what we do, not worry about what the other guys do. I don't ever worry about what the other people are selling. I sell my product and I know what my product is and I explain it. They will buy it if they understand it. And love to work with the CDL people. Been with, like I said, with LegalShield about 13 years. So over to you, Robert, and we'll get started here.
All right, good stuff. So I appreciate you guys, the trainers, for being on every week. Just dedicated being on this training. We're past 3 years with doing this training here for you all. And the great thing about it is, we dedicate this time every Monday. The trainers are chiming in, preparing things, putting things inside the Facebook page, guys, for 3 years, and we do it for free. We do it for free because we know it helps the field. We know it helps you be successful. So we would tell you to definitely get on this account, on this call on Mondays, get on the account. And this is how it should work for you, right? So you get certified or you get a refresher, whichever way you're doing it, right? You get on that live training like we just had this past weekend. You get trained or you get refreshed. Once you do that, right, once you get that zap, then you get on the Mondays every Monday and you're kind of getting fed every Monday and it's current information. So what happens is, because we're doing this call real time every week, it puts you in a position to hear exactly what's going on in the market. If anything changes, if any rules and laws change, and that's going to affect what we're doing, we're going to talk about it. If any plan changes with our LegalShield plan, we're going to let you know. If a video drops, we're going to let you know, right? Anything that's happening, if they're doing road checks, if anything that you can use to open the door, like what Sherranda is going to talk about, it's going to be on this call. So if you get on this call every Monday or listen to the recording, because you may not be available every Monday, all you have to do is go to the YouTube page and go to either CDLP playlist, or when you get to the I shouldn't say page, let's just say the YouTube channel. Just put in Robert Dunbar, put in Training by Dunbar, whichever one you want to put, and it's going to pull up my channel. Go click on playlist and scroll down. You'll see all the CDLP weekly trainings, or you can just go right to my actual channel and you'll see them there. They all have the exact same backdrop like you see behind me right now. So right behind me, it says CDLP Sales Motivation 42, right? That's because we on number 42 when it comes to Zoom. We did another 2 years of conference calls before we started doing the Zoom September 7th. So if you go to the page and you see that backdrop, they're already numbered. So you know if you're looking at 41, that's last week. If you're looking at 40, that's the week before last. So they're numbered there for a reason. So you'll know which one you're looking at, plus they're dated. I would say start at the newest one that we have up there and then go backwards. That way you're getting the freshest information. That way you can keep up to what's happening. Also, there's a third annual there. So you'll see a third annual video on our training that we do on CDLP prospecting. Make sure you look at that video. It's about 1 hour and 45 minutes. If If you ever call me for anything, the first thing I ask you is, did you look at that video? If you haven't, call me after you look at the video, because I don't want to answer questions that we already had the experts answering that video. So make sure you go to that video and look at it. Send your new registered and certified CDLP associates to that video on that page so they can look at it and understand how to pull companies. Randy did a segment on pulling companies through truckdriver.com. Catherine Pouliot and Lamar did a segment on how to pull the information on SMS and on Safer. And then Sherranda and I talked about a few other things. It's all timestamped. So if you go to the video and go to the description, everything we talked about is in the description. You can click on that area and it'll take you directly to that area. So there's no excuse to not look at that to find the answers, because we went through the time of timestamping the video. So all of the details are there in that manner. So I would say take a look at that video so that you can know exactly what's happening with CDL. And then once you're saying, okay, I got this thing going right. I talk about on my training calls the willingness and the wantingness to fail, right? Once you're saying, okay, I'm willing to fail, I'm willing to make calls, I'm willing to go out and talk to trucking companies. Once you're doing that, now you need some accountability. Get plugged into Sherranda's accountability call on Thursdays. And now you've got people keeping you accountable. And now you've got 2 doses of CDLP during the week, Monday and Thursday, that's keeping you kind of on point with everything you're doing until you're ready to take another refresher that might happen. So for those that are in the Georgia, Florida area, anywhere in those areas, Sherranda and I will be doing CDLP 2.0 training. How about that? So we're going to be doing more of a certification type training, but it won't be a certification training, right? Because we're not able to do them live yet. So because we're doing one live, it's not going to be an actual certification. So if you're not certified, it won't certify you. But you're going to get the same information that you would have gotten if you took a certification training. So if you can come to that class, it's free. No charge. It's going to be at the Shingle Creek Resort. So if you need more information on that, just hit me up or hit Sherranda up and we'll let you know how to get set up to come to that class. But it's going to be a free class, and it's going to be 3 hours of us talking about what to be doing in CDLP. We're going to use the certification training slideshow. We're going to also talk about the transportation clipboard, the Lamar Reynolds script, the decision maker appointment, and the group presentation all during that time. So you can come sit in a live class in Orlando at the Shingle Creek Resort on Sunday, this Sunday coming up, the 27th, from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. And it's at no cost to you as an associate, whether you're certified already or not. It's free for everybody. So I would say if you're in that area, you can make it. Come on out to that so that you can see the information live. So that's pretty much where it's at, guys. My name is Robert Dunbar. I've been with LegalShield for 11 years. I've been a certification trainer for CDLP for a little bit over 3 years. I've been a trainer for the company for over 6 years. I'm a 100K ringer. I got 2 50K ringers on my team, and I do work with brokers. I work with on the group side, on business solutions in general, and I also work in the CDLP space. So I work all areas of LegalShield because I don't like to leave any money on the table. This is a residual income business, guys. I've been earned out since my 7th year in the business. So for 4 years, I've been getting residual income. So if anybody tells you that residual income is not real, that's a lie. I can tell you, I can bet COVID on it. It's real because I couldn't get my groups during COVID, but my money kept coming because of residual income that I started getting of my 7th year in the business. So this is a fantastic call to be on, a fantastic business to be in. So I would tell you guys to take notes, get ready. We're going to give you some great information here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Mr. Randy Hooker. He's going to share his screen and get some things going here. And then any material that he shares, if it's not already on the Facebook page, it'll be there this evening. So you can grab it right from the file section or right on the rundown, the hallway of our page there. So Randy Hooker.
Thank you, Robert. All right, let's start off tonight, ladies and gentlemen, with our Operation Safe Driver Week is coming up the 11th through the 17th, 11th through the 17th of July. This flyer is the one that we've been talking about. This particular week, Operation Safe Driver Week is going to be emphasis on speeding, because in 2020, they had more speed-related accidents than they had in the previous 98 years altogether. And so there was a sharp increase in speed-related accidents. And so therefore, they've got a big emphasis on speeding. Also, they're going to be watching the red area down here, reckless driving, distracted driving, following too close, improper lane change. Those offenses down here that they can have be cited for are also going to be in addition, but the main focus is going to be on speeding, of course, this particular time on that particular week. And then, of course, we're going to go to Operation I'm sorry, these are, what's the deal? Here we go. I'm trying to let that down. This is the Operation Safe or Brake Safety Week is set for August the 22nd through the 28th. And of course, this is basically on brakes. A lot of the new weight stations have got the infrared settings set up so that if a trucker drives through onto the weight station, the infrared will pick up and check the heat of the brakes. And if the brakes are working properly, they're going to be hot. And if the infrared doesn't pick them up, they will ask them to pull over into the area over here for inspection. If they're out of adjustment and not working properly, they will be put out of service until they get that fixed. And that means they sit right there. And the thing about that costs so much is they've got to hire somebody to come to that location to fix that problem with the truck before they can drive it. They can't, or they can fix it themselves, but it's got to be certified. And so they need a certified mechanic to actually fix that so that they can then leave that spot on an out of service. If they leave before they have that fixed, they get caught again and they'll be out of service for a long time then, because they will really get after them because they broke the out of service. So it's very important to know that this is very costly for them. And like I say, with a lot of the stations having the infrared, they're able to do a lot of this. Last year, there's supposed to be a 2-inch limit on the brakes for them to adjust. And last year, we know that there were a lot of DOT officers riding them if there was only 1.5 inches. They're supposed to allow 2. And so therefore, they had tightened up on that so that they could evidently write more citations. I don't know. That's the only thing I can figure is the reason they did that. But these are 2 good articles that you can use. Also, the new article that we're going to introduce tonight is going to be the one with a story that is very timely with our truckers today. With the heat coming up and it getting hot in the summer, they could have either heat cramps, they could have a heat stroke or heat exhaustion. And what happens is as the temperatures get up around 90 degrees, you can see here are triple digit. There's a lot of the truckers that if they don't have an air conditioned cab or the ability to use their APU unit for that, or the biggest thing is if they're at a place where the idling restrictions will not allow them to idle to run the air conditioner, and if they don't have the APU, therefore they're not going to be able to run their air conditioner. There's areas that they park some of the time that they don't even want to crack the windows. And guys, this can really cause problems through heat. And so this article is very good to hand out to your drivers, especially get it to your safety directors for them to be able to, once again, remind their drivers that it is summer, it's getting hot, be careful. Today here in San Angelo, where I'm from in the middle of Texas, it was only 96 degrees, but we had 49% humidity, which made a heat index of 106. So therefore, it seemed like it was a whole lot hotter than what it was. And so therefore, with this article, this is something that the truckers just need to be aware of. Heat exhaustion and heat stroke can come on very quickly. My wife went through that. We were out doing the yard and whatever, and she almost went into heat exhaustion just working, and we weren't really working hard, but because of the heat, she got real fatigued, and so we got her all over and set her down. She got a little dizzy, and so I was afraid she was going into exhaustion, and so we got her cooled down and stopped and got her out of the weather and stuff, and so everything was okay. But this is very timely, and they definitely need to be paying attention to it. So be sure to get these copies. This one, the other two are already in the file section on the Facebook page. I will post this one in the file section when we're through here tonight. So, Ms. Sherranda.
Awesome. And that's some great news, Randy, to share, because just last week I had one of my business partners share with me that one of her drivers shared about a driver that was found in his truck. He died. Not really saying it was from heat, but it's just a lot going on the road, guys. And your prospects, just check on them. And like Randy just shared that information, just let them know that, it's important to do all that, what he just shared. So I just wanted to share that Randy talked about the upcoming Blitz that's coming up in July. But, we talk about this on the accountability call. Sometimes it's hard to lead with, we say try not to lead with LegalShield. You just want to be a person that connect with them to share information. And coming up for the carriers and the companies are their quarterly filings. So they have to file their fuel taxes every quarter. So if this coming up, you want to think about also with the upcoming Blitz, if they get pulled over, 9 times out of 10, they're going to do an inspection. And one of the biggest violations we see is log books. So you want to have that conversation, and you don't have to be an expert about log books, but you want to tell them, hey, it's a Blitz coming up, and if they pull you over, they might go ahead and do what we call a level 2 inspection, and they might check your log books and things like that. So you want to make sure you know how to work your electronic log. You want to have extra paper logs, and you want to have all the documentation you need to have in the truck for those logs. So if you talk about those things and remind them, they'll be open to listen a lot. Some of them be more open to hear those type things, and you can lead with. And if you have any problems after the Blitz, just remember, I have things that'll help you if you don't decide to put this in place before. But that gives you the opportunity to share what we do and let them know if you do get any of these citations. A lot of times we cover the legal fees. And so if you start prospecting now, that 11-day waiting period may be up by the time the Blitz starts. So just some added tips for you to talk about. Again, being a student of the industry, knowing what's going on in the industry, and to know a little bit about what's important to the drivers and the companies right now to give you more of an in to help the carrier, and the drivers. And, educating the driver sometimes when they're not the owner helps the owner, because they have a lot on their plates anyway, depending on what size company you're prospecting. So those are just some tips. Like I said, a lot of the filings, the annual filings are coming up. So you want to just remind them of that. And if they don't have them up to date or in preparation of getting them up to date, they may want to think about that, or even talk to you about your process and your plans, because if something does happen, they get written up, they can have the law firm to help them. Just some tips. Randy, you want to add anything? Dunbar, you want to add anything to that?
Well, the thing about it, all small business has got their quarterly filings coming up, and they've got to have those in. Of course, the DOT is doing a lot of off-site audits, so they've got to have that stuff put together and have it up to date. If they don't, they're liable to get hit with an off-site audit.
Yes, paper law still can be used. You have to have at least 7 days worth, 7 to 10 days worth, because if the ELD goes out, you have to have paper logs. So if your vehicle requires you to have a ELD, you still have to have paper logs on board, and DOT will ask you to see those for the person who asked that in the question, in the chat. And so, like I said, you know, you just got a lot of different filings coming up, and you don't have to be the expert to know the filings. If you just say filings, they know what's coming up. You have the quarterly filings, the biannual filings, those are coming up. UCRs, all those filings are coming due. And like I said, one of the biggest violations is most drivers don't keep their ELDs up to date. Some of them run illegal. Some of them have the nerve to unplug them. They do a whole lot of things with that ELD. So you want to make sure you tell them, get it right.
There was a question that asked, is paper log, can a paper log still be used? It's not necessarily that a paper log can be used, but they have to have a backup of 7 days on their ELD.
And they can, yeah, and they can be used. I know some drivers, they go to work before they get their ELDs, and they can have those paper logs as well. But yeah, you have to. You have to have them on deck. You have to have them on deck, though, even if you have an ELD.
Yep.
So yeah. All right.
So I got a question, real quick. So I did a DM a couple days ago, and something came up during the DM, and I want to get you guys' opinion on how you guys would have responded to it. We got through it. We worked it out and everything, but I still, you know, you always want to hear from the other trainers. But so I was on a decision maker appointment with helping a person as a field trainer, and the person that they had me on the phone with said that they knew other people who had legal services for their company, and they were actually in the process of canceling because they wasn't using them, because when they get tickets with their dump trucks and stuff and is overweight, they just pay them. They don't go to court. They don't fight nothing. They don't need to fight none of that stuff. They just pay the money and keep on going. And we told them that, you know, it's affecting their safety score and blah, 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 blah. You know, we had the whole, you know, we had the conversation, right? The conversation. And, you know, 5 minutes into the conversation, the trucking company owner, when I mentioned data Q, said, what is data Q? So we know where that conversation went from there. So what I want to ask the other trainers is, like, so everybody, because somebody else may have dealt with that and not said anything. You may run into this in the future. So just real time things. Again, that's what this call is for. What do you say to a company owner, a safety manager who says, when we get citations and violations, we don't fight them. We just pay the money and keep on driving? We know that's dangerous, but sometimes they don't, obviously. Just like he didn't understand that even if he was fighting the tickets, he didn't even know what data Q was. He had not even heard of data Q, and he had been owning this company for 4 years. So what would you guys say to that scenario?
Well, my response would have been, sir, do you understand where your safety ratings are based out of and what they're based on through the federal record of each one of your drivers, which is through the data queue system. And that's what your safety stats are based on. And that's what your carrier rating is based on. And of course, that's going to affect your insurance if the safety ratings are out of kilter with the data queue system.
Good stuff. Sherranda?
So I've come into contact with that, especially with dump truck owners. We had a dump truck owner a few years ago. I think I talked about it on the call. And that's what he did with his overweight tickets. You know, he just paid them, and he wasn't aware of data queue and things like that. The question, and you may remember this, Dunbar, the question was to him was, you know, I understand that you've been paying these, but that's why we're here, because your numbers are really, really high. And my question to him was, had he seen an increase in his insurance rates? And he was the owner that answered, yeah. He had 20 trucks. He started with 20 trucks, and he had, you know, been in business, I want to say over, I don't know, had he been in business 20 years, but he had been in business a long time, but he still had 20 trucks, and his insurance rates had went from 100,000 a year for those 20 trucks to 400,000 a year for those same 20 trucks. So he had seen the increase. He just didn't understand why. And so we, you know, we sat there and we educated him on that. Now, he was, you know, he was concerned of the fact that he was paying a lot of money, but he never saw the value of getting it because he had done what he had done, you know, all this time. So, you know, it's just a matter of educating. What we did find, though, and this is one type of trucking company that we would shy away from, and that was dump trucks. And because their main violation was overweight, and you know, they just kept it moving. And a lot of those trucks had high out of service numbers because of the overweight, but they just did not see the value in that. And I want to say those are one of the companies that Melissa had talked about. You know, they don't see the value a lot in our plans, especially those dump trucks that work on construction sites, because you know they don't go too far, and when they do go, it's about overweight. So that's just one company. You know, I tend to not prospect a lot because of not seeing the value of what we offer. And I just leave it at that. It's just a matter of educating. So.
Also, Robert, here in Texas, overweight tickets do not issue CSA points.
Right.
We're not in Texas. We're not issued CSA points. However, California, Florida, Minnesota, and Illinois will issue. I know they will issue 4 MVR points to the MVR, which is not only detrimental to the company's insurance, but is detrimental to the personal driver's insurance drastically with those 4 points. And so each state is different on that overweight ticket. And you have to find out on your state what the overweight ticket will do, whether it will issue CSA points or MVR points, or if there's no points issued for it. So here in Texas, the thing about it, our overweight tickets it can be extremely high. I know Lamar fought one here the other day we were talking about. That was over $15,000. And with what we always try to do is we try to educate our driver to go get a certified weight from the point that they get that citation. Go and get a certified weight. And therefore the ELD will show the length of time that they would have been able to drive to get that weight. And if it is a different weight, then we have 2 different weights to fight with or what have you. And a lot of the time we can work our magic with that overweight and get it reduced. But
I think Lamar talked about
that's about all that you're going to do. If they go through a scale house, and if they go through a scale house and they're overweight in a scale house, we can fight the weight fine, but that's all we're going to be able to do. They were overweight. So
yeah, Lamar talked about that. He's talked about that quite often on the call as well. And I think on the trainings, the attorney law firm tends to talk about it, you know, every now and then too on those weight tickets. You still there?
Yeah, no, yeah, no, I did, and that's good, and I hope you guys are getting this that are going after those kind of companies. So I've mentioned in the past I don't go after certain companies because I want to go after low-hanging fruit, and I want to go after the person that's got the worst pain point. It just makes sense to me. So I've given the example. I'm not gonna open up a doctor's office in an area where I see people jogging and walking their pets and living a healthy lifestyle, because you're probably not gonna need me. I'm not gonna make a lot of money there, right? So it's the same thing with CDLP. Don't go after companies that they don't like. You're going after school buses and all that kind of stuff. Do they need our plan? Yeah, they do. But to get them to understand how important it is, again, how often do you see a yellow school bus pulled over? How often do you see a construction vehicle pulled over from a construction company? Not that often. Most of the time when it's a dump truck, it's overweight. And we're talking about that now, how even when they're getting those tickets, they still don't see the value. So, flatbeds and 18-wheelers, and they're getting the most, they're getting hit the most. They need us the most. It's plenty of them out there. It's not a whole bunch of us doing CDL. So guys, until those are gone, that's what I would go after. If you choose to go after something different, just expect it to be a little bit of a harder sell. If that's what you're looking for, then that's totally fine. You go after that. But just understand the low-hanging fruit are going to be flatbeds and 18-wheelers and things of that nature. That's going to be where I've had a person call me and say, "Hey, look, have you ever gone up in ambulances?" I said, no, they normally don't pull them over. So they're probably not going to get our plan, because if I have a right to put a siren on and go as fast as I want to go, I'm probably not worried about getting your plan to cover me if I get a violation or a citation. So that's just kind of what it is. I wouldn't go after those guys. So ending that appointment, what ended up really helping close that appointment wasn't me particularly dealing with the rebuttal. And just guys understand, the important thing here is this is a perfect example of where somebody picked up the phone and used the field trainer. So this young lady would have probably been stuck because she didn't know how to answer any of these questions. She picked up the phone, contacted the field trainer, and did a decision maker appointment with the field trainer on the phone. So that we was able to get that closed, because when the guy said, "Look, let me get back with the other truck drivers, the trucking companies that's dropping ears and find out whether they know about that. If we'll get back together, we'll talk about it." One of his drivers walked in the office and he said, "You know what? Let me let you talk to one of my drivers and see if he said, if you want to talk to him and see if he wanted to get it. If he said he want to get it, I'll let you talk to some of the other drivers." He said, and because you want to talk to the drivers individually anyway, he said, if they want to get it, they paying for it. So if they want to get it, let them get it. That's what the guy said. So he puts the guy on the phone. We talked to him 2 minutes into the conversation. The guy said, "Look, I used to drive for Swift. They had a plan like that. Y'all's cost less." He said, "I haven't had a plan since I left that company because nobody else offered one. I didn't know where to get one from if I wasn't working for a trucking company." He said, "I'm in." He said, "I'll talk to the other guys." But he said, regardless of what, I already know I want it. He said, $30. He said, "I was paying way more than that at the other company." He said, "I know what you need it for." He said, "And they didn't do fatalities. All they did was tickets, violation citations. That's all they did." He said, "So I'm in." The owner got back on the phone and said, "All right, you convinced me." Well, really, I didn't convince him. His driver convinced him, right? So his driver said he was in. So the guy says, "All right, I'm sold." He said, "I'll let you talk to the other drivers. And, if they all want to get it, they can all get it." So, we're doing the paperwork. It's that simple. But the owner didn't get it. He's the one paying the high insurance rates. Didn't get it. He's the one getting his score affected and his company affected. 4-year-old company. He didn't get it. But a driver with a CDL who drove for another company, who understood the concept, changed his mind in a 2-minute conversation. So sometimes, like you said, Randy said this way in the beginning, education, right? Understanding the product, understanding what we do, and not being worried about the competition. So that's how it ended up being a good day for this young lady who called me for it. When it's a DM like that, all I do is I do a 25-75 split, now 50-50. So she walked away feeling like, "Hey, I'm getting 75% of my deal," because I did a DM over the phone. And the calls will be made and we'll get everything closed up, man. But just a good day for somebody based on using a field trainer and understanding what happens in these calls when those things happen. So anything you guys want to add to that? Randy, Sherranda? You good?
No, I just say that like you said, I mean, like you said, a lot of people need the plan. Bus drivers, tow trucks, these guys need the plan, but all of them don't see the value. And I've said this on this call before. It's thousands of companies that's open a day every day, Monday through Friday. And that's in every state. And as long as these people are running up under somebody's authority and you are doing the research and finding out who's a hot prospect, that's your better client. If you like a long sales cycle, then go after the bus driver, the tow truck guy, the taxi people. You know, those people are not going to see the value as soon as the person that drives the flatbed, that drives, I don't know, the hot shot, because those people are getting citations every day. And so if you do your research and take the time, then you'll have a better experience versus a harder and a long sales process. That's my take on it. Randy?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. So don't focus on the people. Don't focus on what, you know, just don't focus on those people, because it's just too many other people out there that need us, who will see the value if they knew something like this was available. I promise you. Right, Wanda, making 2 calls on your lunch break a day? Right, Wanda? It's a numbers game, right?
Yeah, actually, I'm doing more. Yes, yes, it
But I
is.
mean, I'm just saying, yeah. I mean,
Yes, it
you're
is.
not doing 10 calls, you're doing consistently about 5 calls
Yes.
at least a day minimum, you know, average. So,
Yes.
but it's the numbers game, and you find those hot prospects, right?
Yes, I do. And you
Right.
help me close them.
Right. That's what I'm just saying. You just gotta go through the numbers because the people out there. Dunbar just said, you know, just talking about that.
Yeah,
Right.
and it's good that you brought that up, Sherranda, because again, you know, I'm in Go for No mode, because you know I've been doing 2 training courses on Go for No challenge, and what I'm actually looking at doing, I did a little bit of work on it this weekend. I'm not 100% sure how I'm gonna set it up yet. I need a little bit of time to think about it, but I think I'm gonna do a Go for No challenge for CDLP for 30 days to give people a chance to get into a challenge where they can make calls and, you know, be accountable for 30 days to see if they'll get the numbers up in the CDLP space. So I'm thinking about doing a Go for No challenge specifically for CDL for this space. But guys, you got to get through the numbers, guys. Like that, and that's what Go for No is about. That's what sales is about. I mean, all the sales trainings I do, that's what we're talking about. Getting through the numbers, guys. The person on the other side of the phone don't have anything to do with this deal. You see what I mean? It's like, when you're running the business, those people on the other side of the phone, until they're actually a paying customer, they don't have anything to do with your business. You're just calling somebody. That's an exercise for you to do every day. Pick up the phone and make the call. I don't care if you got to use a phone burner, what you need to be doing. Pick up the phone, make some calls, because it's all in the numbers, guys. It's probability. It has nothing to do with anything else, right? So if you're a horrible presenter, you just got to make more phone calls. That's all. That's not the end of the deal. Jim Rohn said it, 30 years ago, and it's still true today, right? If Sherranda can close better than you just got to make more phone calls to her. That's all. You don't have to have a perfect presentation. You just have to have a presentation. So pick up the phone or hammer that thing out, and if you do that, that's what will happen. So, what's the question coming in?
I'm glad you mentioned phone burner, because I still have call reluctance, but I use phone burner, and that's an auto dialer, and it gives me the ability not to procrastinate, not to say, okay, that's enough for today. So whatever works, figure it out. But yeah, it helps. So.
What's that? The question inside the chat? I'm trying to pull it up here.
I talked to a guy today who said they lease their 18-wheeler trucks from Penske. Yeah, Penske will give them a new truck. So his company and drivers are not responsible for maintenance problems. Is this correct? Yes, Pat, that's correct. When those drivers lease from like a Penske, a Ryder, most of those big companies like that, and those drivers get their trucks from those companies, they take care of maintenance and things like that for them. They do. I mean, even if the truck break down, they'll send in the truck. Yes, Randy?
The only thing about that is if they get an inspection and there's something wrong with that truck, it's still going against that driver.
Right.
Just beware. Beware. Because he's responsible for that truck, even though it's supposed to be taken care of by Ryder or Penske or somebody else. So long as he's driving it, if there's anything wrong on it, a light's out or a wire's not, or a brake's loose or whatever, until he gets it fixed, he's still responsible driving it down the road.
Right.
They will cite him for it.
So, but to answer her question, they are responsible for the maintenance,
Right.
though.
They are
Pat.
responsible.
But tell them what Randy just said, though, because if they get inspection in the truck, they're responsible for that, and it's gonna go against them as if, you know what I'm saying, it wasn't a Penske truck. So I hope that helps, Pat.
You know what's interesting about that? What's interesting about that is if I lease a car, if I buy a car off the lot and I'm paying payments and I get a ticket, it don't have nothing to do with the car lot. If I get arrested for driving with no license, a suspended license, DUI, it don't have nothing to do with who I'm leasing the car. So the fact that the person said that is almost like, yes, that's true that they said it, but it don't have anything to do with what we're doing for them. So I'm glad that came up. So Pat, thanks for asking that question so that we could address it, because they still in the same situation. You get a violation. If that was the case, every company would say, you know what, I ain't buying no trucks. I'm gonna lease trucks because I ain't gonna be responsible for nothing. Keep my deal.
Right. But that's a good. But she asked that question because obviously she didn't have the rebuttal. She didn't have the comeback for it. So now she has the comeback because she's gonna run into that, because that's what you hear. But I will say I have about 3 companies that have trucks with rider. They have a small business plan. Their drivers have the plan because they have gotten citations and their numbers are high. So, so they see the benefit, but you find those people that think that, oh, I'm good because, Penske gonna take care of my maintenance for me. And so, but that's not how it works. So now you gotta educate them. You gotta slap them in the face with the right stuff.
Good question.
I'm sorry, Randy. I was gonna say to the guy, Antonio, so in class, when they teach in the CDLP class, when you go to the training, or if you got your companion, you can go back through your companion, and it talks about which trucks are targeted more than others in your companion. They talk about it in training as well. Lamar's talked about it here. So flatbeds, hot shots, those type trucks are open bed trucks. And so DOT can see the scraps, the tie downs, and they can see the freight. And if it's not right, they're quick to pull them over. But if you're doing research like Lamar and, Catherine and, them have trained you to do, when you find the numbers, just make the dial, because it's not the fact that the violation has to be so bad and you realize that, oh, it's a flat bed, because I promise you it's some type of plan that we offer in conversation. You'll find, especially the numbers are high, that they'll see value in. You just got to show the value proposition. So just ask them, what type of equipment do you have? That's just one of your questions. What type of equipment do you have? Break the ice with that, and that'll give you the answer that you need.
Also, he was wondering if there was a way in truckdriver.com to find that out. Whenever you pull up truckdriver.com, as you pull up every company, it will tell you what they haul in their DOT. Whenever you click on the DOT number and it goes to the cipher will tell you exactly what they haul, whether they're a flatbed company, in other words, what product they haul. If they haul box van, dry goods and stuff, they're a dry van company.
Mm-hmm.
They're not a flatbed, and they're not a long haul. All you have to do is, if you go to truckdriver.com, pull up a company, 25 drivers, go to the DOT number, click on it. Whenever it comes up with the SMS, right on that first page, it'll tell you what they haul and where they drive, right on that page as you scroll down. And then you can go from there. If you're looking for a specific type of company, if it's not there, then you can go back and pick up a different company and check them out.
True. And also, he just asked another question. So sometimes the out of service numbers aren't high, Antonio. And after you start looking at a lot of companies, you'll realize that it may be one company and their out of service numbers isn't as high, but they've had a lot of inspections, meaning they just wasn't out of service inspections. They didn't get put out of service for the inspections, but they have a lot of inspections. And so they have a lot of citations. So they might have a lot of citations, but not out of service violations. So it'll tell you all that on the snapshot right there. And just go a little bit farther and look. Like, I know that on our accountability call, Anthony Norris is good about his favorite citation is those 10 points, like, you know, seatbelts and phones and things like that. He just gets a high talking about those 10 points. And so that's what he focused on. And even the 15 over with speeding, you know, that's a serious violation. That's a conversation in itself, because you don't want them to get another one because, you know, they get their license suspended in a certain period of time. So that's a good conversation. So yeah, it's, you know, it's not always about the high numbers. So look at the inspections and go from there. Go over you.
We went with a company the other day that had a out of service rate of 16.2. But whenever we looked into the citation, they had 7 tickets, 6 to 10. They had 9 tickets, 10 to 14, and 3 tickets over 15 over. So it wasn't about their out of service rate, but they were speeding way too much.
Yeah.
So they really needed the service
Right.
for their speeding tickets.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of doing your research. It just gives you a better, gives you more of a better conversation to have. And again, you don't have to be DOT Reno citations. So nobody take that way. We just giving you ways to have a better conversation where the rebuttals aren't so hard, where you know how to handle that. So. Anybody else?
All right. Do we have any more questions in there? I want to make sure we're good there. Oh no, let me check the YouTube channel so to make sure. No questions there. No questions on the YouTube live as well either. So we good. We good on the questions. Look like we got everything answered for everybody. And it is 9:28, so that's good. Good stuff. All right. Anything else on the channel before we leave?
No, I just
posted
no.
right after we get over. I'll have the new flyer up in the files.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Sherranda?
No, I'll just say, you know, that that third annual training, those first, second, and third annual trainings are just good to just listen over. Again, you don't have to be DOT and you don't have to turn that snapshot inside out. Just have some points where you want to highlight that you can talk confident about, you know, and you know, just go from there. And always come with the sense of helping the company. Remember, as the consultant. That's it.
That's good. That's good. All right, good stuff. So remember, guys, if you can make it to the live training at Shingle Creek on the 27th, this coming Sunday from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern time, we'll be there doing some training there as well. So come out, see us there. Next week, Monday, we'll be here again, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure you get chimed in. Make sure your team, anybody that's doing CDLP, is plugged in. Again, congrats to our new certified people who are on here. Congrats to the people who made a decision to get back on and start listening to this call again, or this Zoom again. So we look forward to helping you guys as much as we possibly can. So go ahead and ask your questions on the CDLP Facebook page, and then get plugged in here on a weekly basis. So, but that being said, we're gonna go ahead and close out on time for the first time in, like, I don't know, a year. So we'll see you guys all next week. Everybody have a successful close of the month and a successful rest of the week. So talk to you guys all soon.
Stay
Thank
safe
you.
and thank you.
Thank you.
I love that background. I love that background from American flag, brother.
Hey, thank you.
All right.
Good stuff.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Thanks to all the trainers. It was excellent tonight. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Welcome.
Good night. Thank you.
All right, Shelter.
Good night.
Good night.